Welcome to HSTM1113 Science, Nature, and Society. My name is Paul Veith. I'm in my final year of my PhD in the Department of the History of Science, Technology, and Medicine. I'm a historian of the science of ecology and environmental history in modern Latin America, with a dissertation about indigenous and peasant agriculture in 20th century Mexico. I'm really excited to get the opportunity to teach this class because I love learning about the history of science and I love sharing that knowledge with other people who are interested to learn. Because this is a 1000 level introductory class, my overarching goal for this semester is simply to introduce you to the study of the history of science. In order to accomplish that, I have three interconnected goals for us to strive toward this semester. We're going to get a brief introduction to several topical areas of interest to historians of science. We're going to get introduced to several of the key concepts that animate debate and motivate research in the history of science. And we're going to get introduced to some excellent historians of science and some of the insightful books that they've written. My hope for this semester is that we arouse your interest in our species' eternal endeavor to understand the world around us so that you're better able to participate in that endeavor. First, I want to introduce you to several of the subtopics of interest within the discipline, including science and religion, science and the environment, pre-modern science, science and colonialism, science and politics, and science and ethics. There are many more topics in the histories of science, technology, and medicine. Pretty much anything you can imagine has some substantive connection to the histories of science, technology, or medicine. So, if you have a special interest that isn't covered by one of the aforementioned topics, just come see me in my office hours and we'll discuss your interest and find materials that are suited to you for further study to nurture that interest. The second goal for us to strive toward this semester is to get introduced to key concepts in the discipline of the history of science. Historians of science, whether they study volcanology or particle physics or ancient Egyptian alchemy or Chinese traditional medicine, are always grappling with complex concepts and debates that transcend their narrow research interests. The ones we're going to get introduced to this semester are social constructivism, 2, the relationships between science and social or cultural institutions like religion and politics and the nature of those relationships, 3, the relationship between humans and the rest of nature, and whether that relationship is inherently monistic or dualistic. And 4, the epistemology of science and the relationship between different epistemic cultures. Social constructivism is the most important concept for understanding the historiography, meaning the practice and culture of history, of science, technology, and medicine. The basic idea of social constructivism, which we'll further elaborate as the semester progresses, is that science is shaped by social forces, including politics, religion, arts and culture, philosophy, and economics. That segues into our second important concept for this semester, which is understanding the nature of the relationship between science and social institutions. Is that relationship one of conflict, cooperation, or something more complicated? As for the rest of the relationship between humans and nature, are we separate from or different from nature? Or are we an integral, inseparable part of nature? Are we special? Regardless of the answers to those questions, we must ascertain our duties, our responsibilities, and our expectations with respect to nature. The final important concept has to do with the epistemology of science, the study of how scientific knowledge is created, refined, and rejected. People generally inherit two false assumptions about science. Either that science is universal, that it is the one absolute truth procedure to rule them all, or they understand that science is a cultural episteme, but mistakenly believe that science is the sole product of Europe and its settler colonies. Science is indeed a culturally specific episteme, that is, a way of making sense of the cosmos. And there are many different ways of making sense of the cosmos. But it is not the exclusive property of European culture, but instead arose out of the intersection and interaction of several different cultures of knowledge making, knowledge preservation, and knowledge exchange in the Afro-Eurasian supercontinent over the course of millennia. As the peoples of Afro-Eurasia migrated to other lands, the people they encountered began to adopt, adapt, and contribute to the epistemic culture we call science. The third goal I have for you this semester is to get introduced to significant historians and significant books in the history of science. Each module, you're going to be assigned an excerpt from a book for the required reading, and you'll be provided with suggestions for supplementary reading too. I will also link each reading to the ISIS bibliography for the history of science, technology, medicine, and allied fields, where you'll find a wealth of information about the historians and the books you'll be learning from. Each ISIS bibliography page comes with related citations where you can find even more things to read to slake your thirst for knowledge about topics of interest to you. The books you're assigned will help you achieve the first two goals I've set out for you this semester by introducing you to both the key topics and the key concepts listed above. For your final project, you're going to take one of the books we read during the semester, or another that you find in consultation with me that piques your interest, and take a deep dive into it and write an academic book review on it. So keep that in mind as you read throughout the semester. As you might have gleaned from the name, bibliographies are reference texts about books. The ISIS bibliography will be your friend this semester. It will provide you with essential context for the concepts, people, historians, and books you will encounter in this class, and it will be instrumental in your completion of your final project. It doesn't contain the entirety of the history of science, but it contains a heck of a lot of it. And your introduction to this beautiful field of knowledge will be facilitated by the extent to which you make use of it. I will be available for office hours at pretty much any hour, every day, Monday through Friday, throughout this semester, by appointment. If you need anything or have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. In addition to your final project, your deliverables for this class will be discussions and preliminary and wrap-up surveys for every single module. You've been placed into discussion groups to facilitate conversational intimacy. Class discussion is not only a large portion of your grade, but an essential component of humanistic education, in which both critical and creative thinking and both earnest and energetic communication are foundational elements. You need to put thought and effort not only into your discussion posts, but also into your responses to the posts of your discussion group peers in order to facilitate respectful and meaningful dialogue. The preliminary and wrap-up surveys for each module are also a critical component of your education. They are graded, but only as participation grades. For each module, you'll be asked about your familiarity with the material before you do the module activities and again after you've completed the module. This will benefit both of us. It will help me understand which learning materials are pedagogically effective and which aren't, so that I can make improvements to the course. More importantly, however, it will help you get a sense of your learning trajectory through each and every module. I just want to reiterate how passionate I am about the history of science, and though I'd love to spark that passion in you this semester, I'll settle for simply imparting on you an understanding of how the history of science intersects with and impacts your own life as a member of the human species. Welcome to HSTM 1113.